it's not people being horrible or ignorant, it's people that just don't understand. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here then hi, I'm Madeline, and as you probably gathered by the title, I have ADHD. Now, for those of you that know me very well will know this already, and some of you may not even know this about me. But today I thought I would do a video about my ADHD, what it's like for me, what's my experience, because I've watched lots of videos on YouTube, and especially when I first got the diagnosis at 16, and I couldn't find anything really that related to me. So I'm going to try and make this video as concise as possible, so I'm not rambling for ages, but let's face it, I mean, I have ADHD. So first things first, I've made a huge list on my phone, and I'm going to talk about what it's like for me living with ADHD, and I've made 18 points. So my first one's saying, explain what ADHD is, focusing on ADHD in my experience. So all the information of what ADHD actually is will be down below, but it stands for Attention Deficit Hyperactive Disorder. But a quick brief background story. I was diagnosed with ADHD at 16, it was caught in college, it was completely missed all through my childhood, and thankfully my old biology teacher had worked with children that had ADHD and possibly other types of maybe learning difficulties. I'm not too sure, but she had training and knowledge in that background and sent me to the doctors and said, you know, go speak to them and see what they say, and sent me as a referral because you have to go through a doctor's for it. Following on, I had a lot of problems trying to get diagnosed initially. They lost my referral. It took up to, I think it was nearly 2 years for them to finally get a diagnosis, and I had lots of mental health diagnoses flying around that were not true. I got diagnosed at 16, and they said to my mum, you know, was she like this as a child? Was she very hyperactive? Was she always on the go? Was she quite mischievous? And my mum was like, yes, she's been like this since she was a child. I may do a video with my mum based on my ADHD if that's something you guys would like to see, and also if my mum would like to come on here and film. So let me know down below if that's something you'd like to see. So according to the doctor that I saw, I have what's called a boy's ADHD. Apparently there's a stereotype or statistic that there is a certain type of ADHD that goes for boys and it goes for girls, and then you can have one that's a mixture. There's 3 types of ADHD. I'll leave links below to any sort of information that I can find through the NHS or something like that you guys can have more information on, because obviously this is just my experience, this is not ADHD in general. So I have what's classed as a boy's ADHD, and that means I'm very disruptive. I interrupt a lot of the time. So in class I'm interrupting because I've got a point that I have to say there and then that's relevant to the topic that's being discussed. I accidentally interrupt friends. It's my biggest pet peeve that I have about myself, and it's the one annoying habit, I would say, or trait that I have, is that I constantly interrupt people, and I genuinely don't mean to. It's just how I am, it's just my ADHD. So the main thing is I'm very hyperactive. More so as a child. I feel like I've definitely calmed down over the years through me learning to try and manage it, but also I think just becoming more of an adult, I think I'm less hyperactive, but I've had new problems to encounter and deal with as I've grown up and become an adult. So the main thing is that I struggle to focus and I'm easily distracted. People will be having a conversation with me and I'll be listening, my brain will be off doing something else. I get distracted with a task. So a good example of this is at work. So if my manager asks me to do the delivery, I will get straight in and start on it, and then a customer will come up and ask me to do something for them or to buy an item, and then I will notice something needs tidying, so I'll go and tidy that. And while that's important, I've been asked to do the delivery, so I then forget about that. If I'm given a list of instructions that's more than 2 items, like verbally, so someone says, oh, you just do this, then this, then this, then this. I remember the 3rd and 4th point because you've just told me that, but the first 2 that you told me initially, they've gone out my head. I need it written down as a list. That is one way of me managing that, but more on that later. Sometimes I hyper-focus. So this is really interesting for me because this happens randomly, and it's often when I'm really engrossed or involved in a project. So when I first started YouTube, all I wanted to do was film, edit, upload. Sometimes when I'm working on a show, I become fully immersed into that show, and that's all I'm working on, that's my focus, and that is fantastic. But other areas of my life then get neglected. I'd have to make sure that I divided my time equally between them. I struggle to switch off and my thoughts race. Now it doesn't help that I also suffer with anxiety. This is a lot to put on the internet. Oh my god, you're all getting my personal information here. Jeez. So I struggle to switch off all the time. My brain is constantly working. It can be 1 o'clock in the morning and my brain is still active. It's still thinking, right, tomorrow I need to go do this, tomorrow I need to go do that, da 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 da. I struggle, even when I sit down and read, I have to make sure that I'm actually reading and my brain is not doing multiple things at once. I find it really hard to just sit down and chill. I don't know how to explain it. It's just really hard to convey. I was talking to my housemates and I remember saying to them, I never understand why people on YouTube do a morning routine and an afternoon routine. I find it really weird that people do that. I wouldn't have one to film. They're like, yeah, Madeleine, that's because you don't switch off. And I realised I don't. And that's something I've tried to implement into my life. Again, jumping ahead on points. Can't stay on one task. Oh, this is good. I speak incredibly fast. This is probably because my brain is working so fast and my mouth struggles to keep up. My family are also quite fast talkers. I don't know if that's something to do with being part Polish and we all talk quite quickly. I'm not sure, but a lot of the time I speak far too quickly for people to understand, and I'm not very, what's the word, articulate. And that's something I do really struggle with, and I do actively have to remember to slow down when I'm doing YouTube and to talk at a regular pace so people can understand me and to enunciate every single word. If you ever meet me in person and you don't understand what I've said, please ask me to repeat myself. I always am, because people always ask me to, and that's absolutely fine, because I'd rather somebody heard me and had a conversation than just be like, okay, like, I speak too fast and I know that. I forget to do basic tasks. This makes people laugh every time, but genuinely the amount of times at university, so I've gotten up, ready to go to a lecture, I've had a shower, I brushed my teeth, done all of that. More often than not, I forget to eat. And this just sounds so silly, but the amount of times that I've gone into the kitchen, I've gone, right, I put the bread in the toaster, put it on, and I've gone, right, I've got a few minutes, so I will quickly pack my bag and then come back in and make my toast. I forget that I've done that. I forget I've put the bread in the toaster, and then I go off to the lecture, and I usually get a text from my housemates. One of them, usually Tom, because he starts a bit later because he's a master student, so he'd be up maybe about 11. He'd be like, who's left toast in the toaster? And I'd be like, oh god, that's me. I'd be like, guys, I'm so sorry, I completely forgot, feel free to eat it. Or I'd remember and go, why am I hungry? Have I not had breakfast? Oh god, I left the toast in the toaster. I get low blood sugar anyway, so it's even worse. I talk over people sometimes. Thoughts will come out of my mind, so I will say something. It sounds really strange, but this is how I explain it to people, so it makes sense to people that don't have ADHD, so they can kind of understand it. So you have two halves of your brain. They say you have the creative half and maybe the more, is it academic side? I feel like for me, I've got one half of my brain has the ADHD and the other half doesn't. So my ADHD part of my brain's going blah, 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 having a conversation. And the other half of my brain's like, will you please be quiet? I know that I'm still talking and I'm trying to like rein it in and like stop, but I can't. It's like word vomit. It sounds so bad. I lose train of thought easily, so I'll be telling people a story and that's relevant to the conversation, and then I get lost. I can't think why I was telling you this, and the amount of times I'm there like, I don't have a point to this. I don't know what it is anymore. I've completely forgotten. I wasn't just telling you this because I like the sound of my own voice. I have to plan meticulously to ensure I get by in life, and that sounds really daft, but particularly at university, especially in the last semester of my third year, I had so much on to, like, work-wise, was just crazy. So obviously I had my assignments, so I had my dissertation was due in March, I had an assignment due in January, February, and then there was something due, I think it was 2 things due in May. And alongside that, so January to April, I was doing the Darwin tour, which was a dance tour. So twice a week we would take the dancers out, and I did the technical side with a couple of other dancers that were taking on technical roles, and we toured local schools. And then I had a show called A Chorus Line that was happening in February. There was 2 shows for the creative writing degree that were happening in March and April at the theatre that I was stage managing. Sorry, I was deputy stage managing the February show for Chorus Line, see I forget details. And I was technical stage manager for the Darwin tour. And then in May I was stage manager for our final year project, Working, which was the musical theatre degrees final year show. So I had a show on every single month, so January, February, March, April, May, which was crazy. I had my dissertation on top of it and other assignments going on, and I had to plan myself down to the hour. So I was attending various different rehearsals, I had various production meetings for different shows, I was having to maybe source props for something or program the sound into QLab, which is the programming app that we use. There was loads of different things that I had to do. I obviously had to plan my own life around it, so if I had maybe a doctor's appointment, to go to the dentist, if I was obviously going to go see friends, having a social life around it. I had my university lectures, I did cheerleading, so that I had training twice a week for. It was absolutely nuts, so I'd be having about 4 or 5 hours sleep, and it was just insane, but it was the best 5 months of my life. I thrive when I'm under pressure and I'm kept busy, and I absolutely love it. Still manage my ADHD fairly well. All the shows were successful and I came out with a first in my degree. If you haven't seen my results, which I think is on that side, I'll link it up in the card. But yeah, my university results was, yeah. I frequently swap words around or I miss them out when writing. So when I'm sending a text, I will forget the, do you know what, I'm so bad at English because of my dyslexia as well. I'm not even sure if it's called like a verb, like the doing word. So I will just miss a word out entirely and the sentence makes no sense and it has no context. I will get the words wrong. I think once in an essay someone was proofreading me and I'd written decomposed and deconstructed. Like, those are two very different words and I don't mean to. My brain just sees the almost like the beginning letter and the end letter, just fills it in, and that also may be affected by my dyslexia. I don't know how much of that is ADHD versus my dyslexia, but I will, you know, mix words up. Sometimes even the wrong word comes out when I'm talking and I'm like, that's not the word I meant. It's my brain working much faster than my mouth can move. I can often stutter and repeat myself. As I said, I suffer with anxiety, so that becomes worse if I'm anxious. People go, why have you just repeated yourself? And call me out on it, and I'm a bit like, okay, like, I didn't mean to do that. It's part of my ADHD, but it's not being horrible or ignorant. It's people that just don't understand and they don't know what it's like. And a lot of people just think, oh, ADHD, you're just a bit hyper. Actually, it's so much more than that. And I think a lot of people don't necessarily realise, but also maybe enough people with ADHD don't talk about the other side of it, of other symptoms that you have. So that is the main things that I live with. So now I'm going to go on to how I manage my ADHD. The first thing I do, it sounds really daft, but I try and take a breath before speaking. Obviously, doesn't always happen. I feel like I also struggle to process information. My brain sometimes takes a couple of seconds to catch up. I've had my hearing tested. My hearing is completely fine. I will hold something as a way of retaining a thought, e.g. so I'd have my hand up in class. So just say that I need to ask a question. I can wait till the end, but this is how I remember to do it. I have a diary and a planner, which I'm going to get for you. Bear with me 1 second. Okay, I'm back. So this is my happy planner. Normally I would have decorated a lot more, but obviously being a student, stickers cost money. He was really busy, so Monday I was filming for YouTube in the morning, I was working my dissertation and was doing some revision for it, and then I had study skills at 4 PM, which is help for my dyslexia and my assignments. I then had a tech run for a chorus line in the evening, and then I had to make a note to pack my suitcase ready for Darwin. So this day was so busy I can't even tell you. So I was up early for the Darwin tour and we got to uni about 8 o'clock and we had to go and drive to Portsmouth to do the performance. Did that all day and I had my lecture marked out already, but I had to catch up on it. And then as soon as I got back to university, I genuinely got straight off the bus, unpacked the equipment and went straight to a chorus line's dress run. And then the next day I had a rehearsal for the May musical, 9 to 12, work on my dissertation, make a note to put the rubbish out, and then I had a show at 7 PM. So it works as a planner that I plan out things that I'm doing, and then I also write down my memories and use it as like a scrapbook. Next up, to-do lists are my freaking saviour. I will get up in the morning and make a list of things to do that day. I do to-do lists for the week. I'll have a running to-do list maybe written like in the back of my diary, or just things to do at some point, and it's having them broken down. So rather than writing it all on one list and me having a list of 20 items to do and getting stressed out by it and overwhelmed, I've got a different list for different things, and I might only have 3 things to do that day, and that's fine. Most thing I can stress if you have ADHD is listen to your mind and like your brain and your body and the rest of it. You know, there are days when my ADHD flares up really badly and I have days that are worse than others. And there's a day when my ADHD is really bad, I think, no, do you know what? The only thing that really needs to be done by the end of the day is this one thing, and that might be booking a hair appointment at Tony and Guy. Something really simple, but I just make sure I do that one thing and I think, right, I'll do the other 3 tasks tomorrow. My ADHD might be a bit better and a bit more manageable. So bullet journal, again, I did a very quick video on this on my channel. One of my friends, Amy, wants me to do a more in-depth one. Again, that's something you'd like to see, then please let me know down below. Personally, I have to have a planner set out with that level of structure that has all the boxes done for me because I need that routine. A bullet journal may work for you. Who am I to judge? Have an organised morning and evening routine. Now, I don't stick to these religiously because obviously you can do different things each evening. Some evenings I'm out maybe with friends. When I come in now to my room, one of the first things I do is I put on my nice fairy lights. I draw the curtains. I've started now taking my makeup off maybe an hour or 2 before I go to bed. Then, you know, I'll make sure I slowly do my skincare and then I'll brush my teeth. I make sure now that I take my contact lenses out and then wear my glasses for couple of hours before I go to bed, don't have to sit there for like 10-15 minutes and clean my lenses, and then it's having to focus and make my brain do that, and then my brain starts becoming a bit more wired because it's having to concentrate, whereas I'm not relaxed, if that makes sense. And this may sound absolutely ridiculous to all of you that don't have ADHD, and you think, yeah, but my brain doesn't work like that. That's fine, because for ADHD my brain works differently. I have phone alarms and timers for everything. I can't even stress to you, if I don't put a timer on when I'm cooking, I'm guaranteed to burn my food and possibly burn the house down. I also struggle to switch off. I've mentioned this already, but one thing I love to do is read, and those of you that may not know, I'm a big reader. My reading skills actually aren't that bad because I'm dyslexic, but great way for me to switch off, and I genuinely enjoy it anyway, and it's nice time that's away from a screen, so I'm not on my phone. To be switching off and doing something else that's not related to technology. Another thing that I did do, now this can be controversial depending on your view of ADHD and whether you have it or not, whether you'd want to, but I took ADHD medication for when I was studying, so this was mostly so I could be fully focused and concentrate and not be easily distracted, but also for my class members as well, because I was very disruptive in class and I genuinely didn't mean it, and I know it'd be very annoying. I say this all the time, but genuinely, like, I would get annoyed at myself, never mind other people getting annoyed at me, and they know I can't help it, but that doesn't make it any better, you know? So I did take the medication, you know, like 90% for myself, so I could focus and get the task done. I would get the assignment, like maybe say I want to complete 1,000 words out of the 2,000 that were due. I would complete that in maybe 2 hours rather than it taking me 6 hours. So some people may not like the idea of having medication, some people may not want to have it, and that is absolutely fine. It was just something that the doctors trialled with me, and I found it really helped and it really worked. I was fortunate enough that I found a prescription type of medication and dosage that worked for me quite early on. I think it took them only a year to find one that works for me, but for some people it may take longer, so I was very fortunate in that aspect. Another thing I would say that I do is I find a good environment to work in. So I found, especially at university, I really struggled to work in my bedroom, and obviously in halls you only have that room or the communal kitchen, and the same obviously if you live in a house you might have the living room, kitchen, whatever. And I would work away from my bedroom, but even working in the house I really struggled with, because I could easily get distracted by Netflix or my phone or something like that, and just having a good environment for me to work in. So I always went to the library, and whether I was sat in the actual library or I was sat maybe on the comfy sofas by those like a bit under the stairs that was nice with like nice sofas, and I sat there with my laptop, it was like sitting in a lecture. It was, this is your time to work. I put my phone on silent or even do not disturb. I put it in my handbag, so there was no way I'd get distracted from it, and I would make sure that if I had to get anything off my phone, so an example would be for my dissertation I went to a talk with Theatrecraft about the makeup that was done for Aladdin, and I had all the notes written on my phone, so I made sure that I copy and pasted them and sent them to myself via email, so then if I was going to have them on an email it was then open on the computer, and then that was it. I didn't have to spend time going to get my phone, you know, going to get it off there and actually then get distracted because I had 2 messages on Facebook and a text message. Before I know it, I then spent 20 minutes replying to people and getting distracted and then not doing what I was supposed to be doing, and then I've lost focus on the task at hand. So now I've talked about all the not necessarily negative sides, but the problems I can encounter from ADHD and the challenges it, you know, makes me face on day-to-day life. I'm going to talk about some of the things that actually is a positive side of it. So ADHD is actually really helpful for my social skills. I am very bubbly, very confident and able to talk to people. I've been like that since I was a child, and I've always been very good with people. This is not me tooting my own trumpet, this is just self-assured qualities that I know I have. My ADHD helps magnify that. ADHD helps my job. So I like the pressure and the stress that comes with, say, theatre-based work and stage management. It can be a stressful environment at times, and for me that helps me to focus. It actually makes me go, right, I need to get this deadline, needs to be done now, this to be done in this instant, and it makes me decisive. And I'm a decisive person fairly anyway, except where I want to eat. I thrive underneath it because it makes me tick. I can multitask very well. I'm not something insane, but when you're a deputy stage manager you have to be able to multitask, you have to be able to call the show, you have to be able to watch what's going on stage, look at the book, you know, if you've got something going on next to you, not that you really would be dealing with, but you've got to be able to have your eyes essentially everywhere. So I am quite good at multitasking and getting things done. I mean, people joke that's like a good thing being a woman. I mean, If that's true, maybe it does help, but my ADHD really helps with that because I'm able to focus on multiple things at once because my brain is constantly working, and my ADHD is a really positive impact on that. But one thing I do want to say, because of me trying to focus on what people are saying to me, if I've got background noise going on, so I often lip read, and that is often something that's quite funny with shows. If I've got a headset on and there's people talking, not necessarily to me, but I can hear them in my ear, and I've got maybe an actor or, you know, a tech guy talking to me, I'm staring at their mouth, and a lot of people, I swear, I must probably think I'm trying to snog them or want to kiss them or something, and it's not the case, you know, but I am genuinely trying to read what they're saying, and by looking at the lip read, it's almost like subtitles in a sense. Look, subtitles on a Netflix show save my life, so I can literally listen to what they're saying and read the subtitles. For me, lip reading is the same thing. You know, I'm hearing what someone's saying and I'm watching their mouth move and the words forming and it's going in and I'm processing it better. Okay, so I'm now going to go and answer some questions. Ages ago, I did ask on Instagram. So if you guys aren't following my Instagram, I will leave my handle on screen. But I did ask people what they wanted to know about my ADHD. So the first one comes from my friend Yasmin. She asked, what is it like? It sounds really strange. There are definitely days where I have it and I think I absolutely love having ADHD because it really does help. And there are some days where I think, God, I wish I didn't have ADHD. I think my life would be really boring if I didn't have it though. For me, it feels like my brain is on fast forward and my body is on slow motion. That is probably the best way I can describe it. So my brain is constantly running and whirring at, you know, 90 miles an hour. My body's on an escalator. They're both competing with each other, one going very fast, one going very slow. I'm quite a lot for people to handle in one go, especially when they first meet me. A lot of people I think are like, whoa, she's quite in your face. And I don't mean to be, it's partly because I'm so confident and bubbly and I'm like that by nature. Like, I'm a loud person in general, but at the same time my ADHD does sometimes overtake. My friend Lara asks, at what age can ADHD be usually recognised in children? Now, I'm not an ADHD expert or anything by any means, but from what I've gathered from reading about it online, it can be diagnosed very young, but I also think it can be caught a lot later on in life as well. As I said, my ADHD wasn't caught till I was 16. So I think it's recognised in children if they're struggling in school perhaps, maybe that their ability to focus isn't as strong as maybe other students, or maybe they're a bit disruptive. I was very disruptive in school, partially probably because I didn't understand the work because of my dyslexia, but also because I didn't have the ability to focus. I think it can be diagnosed at any age, but I do think it probably comes from being at school and teachers being able to see all different types of students and all their different paces of how they learn, and then if there is someone that they can see evidently maybe is struggling, that's when it gets diagnosed. She also said this would be an interesting video and good to bring awareness to what ADHD is. So thank you very much. And Rosie asked me, how do you switch off when you feel like you're running a ridiculous amount of numbers, miles an hour? So how do I switch off? So the answer is, in like plain terms, I don't, but I also actively really do try. So I did mention obviously earlier that, you know, I have a morning and evening routine. I read is a big one of that. I feel like the gym would be a really good way for me to switch off actually, simply because when I did cheer and I did dance at uni, I found that having that hour where I'm just focused on the steps that I'm learning and the music and the routines. I do watch some Netflix and I try and hide my phone if I can, like, you know, or I put it on Do Not Disturb, I'm a big advocate of, and turn it like that way down so you can't see the screen. So if it lights up, I'm not tempted to look at it, and I try and chill out that way. I go to bed earlier now, which is something I never thought I'd ever hear myself say because I'm a much more productive person in the evening. I find editing my videos quite relaxing to some aspect, so yeah, it's just different things like that really. There's different things for different people, so some people might find going for a walk, some people might enjoy painting, cooking or baking might be something for some people, ways to switch off. Abby asks, what helps you focus and get things done? Besides glaring obvious that I've mentioned, which is my ADHD medication, if I'm naturally interested in doing something, I'm more obviously inclined to focus and get on with it. A large part of it is just self-discipline, so it's going no, being strict stuff and going no, sit down and actually do the work. Having regular breaks as well. I do have, let me see if I can find it. So I have this fun little gadget. This is from Flying Tiger. You can probably get it on Amazon or eBay or I don't know, probably anywhere, but I know Flying Tiger did sell them. And it's a little fidget toy. So this is obviously like little buttons you can press. This is like a little like joystick, like gear stick pad. This obviously twirls round. That's like a clicker. And then that is like a little disc that spins around like that. And then this thing on the side just pulls down and moves, and it's a little fidget toy, and I would have this in lectures, or if I was reading something, or if I should do something that I mentally have to focus on, but my body physically has to sit still. This fidget toy is literally the best thing ever. I would sit there in class and I'd be listening to one of my lecturers talk, and I'd be sat there like fiddling with this or clicking. Obviously the clicking can be really annoying for the people you're sat next to. If I can find one on Amazon, I will link it below. Flying Tiger don't have an online shop. A lot of people used to think I was texting in class, and my teacher would be like, can you stop texting? And I'd be like, oh, I'm not, it's my fidget toy. And I have one other question by Rosie, which I thought was very interesting. And she asked, how do you find your ADHD affects the other aspects of your mental health? Which I thought was a really interesting question. And the answer, sort of the long and short of it, is I don't know. I definitely feel like, because I have anxiety, that my ADHD sometimes works with it, but not in a positive way. It's really weird because obviously depending what people have mental health wise, they may find it really affects it, maybe it doesn't have much correlation at all. I've been pondering over this honestly for months, and the answer is I'm still not sure, because my ADHD is different every single day. It can work positively with it. So that is everything for my ADHD video today. I really hope you guys enjoyed it, found it somewhat maybe informative, or if you have ADHD, felt like you maybe related to some aspects of it. It's been very rambly and very typical me, but if you have stuck around this far, then thank you so much. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel down below, give me a thumbs up. I will see you guys again next week for a brand new video. Bye!